Real people, real celebrities, real talk.
Join the Breakfast Club.
Blast off in your
Weekday
ear.
morning, 6 to 10.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club, and we have a special, amazing guest with us this morning.
I mean, you say special guest a lot, but we really have a very special guest
Absolutely.
here today. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
82 years young, look better than all of us.
No, I'm not going to say that.
Now, when's the last time you did, terrestrial radio?
Oh, earlier this year, I think,
Okay.
WVON
Okay.
in Chicago. I don't do much interviews or whatnot. I always have felt since the 70s or 80s when I did interviews, the media, they sent their best at me, and when they could not defeat our arguments, they decided to ban me from television. And they banned me from going to black colleges and even white colleges to deliver a message. So for all intents and purposes, many people thought I had died because they didn't see me on television. But that's been changing now. And for me to be on your show, it's a great honor to me because the audience that I'm really interested in is our young people.
Absolutely.
And I thank God that you gave me this opportunity. Our young people represent the strongest and the best generation that we've ever had. They're not the wisest, but they are the best because they are fearless.
Right.
And when you see fearless young men and women, that's the generation that God's hand is on, because that's the generation that will fulfill the promise of the ancestors who died struggling for true freedom, justice, and liberation. But the young are the generation that will deliver on that promise with the right leadership.
Now, I want to bring it back because the bad thing about yourself is you're not in the history books. Like, they ban you from social studies, so you have to Google everything. And with Googling you and learning your information, you're from Harlem, and you started off as a musician. And you went to Boston, and then while you were out in Chicago, explain to the people how you got involved with the Nation of Islam.
I was a musician. I grew up with the violin, and then I learned that I could sing, and I sang ballads. My parents being from the Caribbean, I learned to sing calypso.
Calypso music.
And I had many recordings and played in nightclubs. And I was in Chicago at a nightclub called the Blue Angel. And I was the featured performer. The name of the show was Calypso Follies. And this was in 1954. And I heard at that time that there was a Savior's Day convention. Some of my friends brought me there in February of '55. And I heard Elijah Muhammad. I wasn't quite ready to join a new religion.
Okay.
But I was upset as a Christian because I wondered why white Christians treated black Christians so badly and yet said we were all from the same God. That didn't ring well with me. And my pastor never addressed the condition of racism in America and the suffering of black people under that kind of tyranny. So when I heard Elijah Muhammad, I took out my form and it got lost, but I still wasn't quite ready.
Okay.
But when I came back to New York where I was living, I went to the mosque and I heard Brother Malcolm. And, you know, Elijah Muhammad said that God was a man. And when I heard Malcolm, I said, maybe this is he. Because I never heard a black man talk like he talked. So I became a Muslim and a student under him.
Mm-hmm.
And today, of course, we are at that point in our development where we are being forced now to consider which is the way forward. Singing in, wading in, crying in, praying in has not worked. Marches have not worked. And the oppression and the tyranny is getting worse. So we decided on the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March to return to the Capitol. The first time we went, it was on atonement, reconciliation, responsibility. We wanted black men to accept the responsibility of being a man and standing up for our women and our children and creating that sense of strong family again. But this time, well, I'll put it like this. Elijah Muhammad said to me one day I'm going to call a march. And that march will be for justice. And he said it won't be like the march in '63 where people were laughing and frolicking and having a good time. When you say you're going for justice and jobs, that's no time to party. That's a time to be serious, because the cry for justice against the forces who uphold injustice, now you got to have a mind now. What are you going to do to move the forces of injustice if they won't bow to the truth that should bring justice? And at that point, we're in the valley of decision. We've been living in the valley of the shadow of death, but we've been doing the dying. So we got some serious decisions to make as a people. And I intend to put that before the Congress, before the government, before the Department of Justice, the president, but more importantly, to put it before us as a people. What are we going to do to prepare a future for our children and our grandchildren? Do you have children?
4.
4. How about you?
I have a 6-year-old girl and one on the way.
May God bless those children to have a future.
Yes, sir. I just want to keep them off reality TV.
Well, we got to keep them off a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the main thing is a decision that we as parents make. Every generation that we've produced has confronted white racism. Every generation. It doesn't get better. We're 50 years now from the March on Washington with Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. And a few months ago, we were in Selma celebrating Bloody Sunday that made Lyndon Baines Johnson sign a voting rights bill in Congress, did that. And in 2013, the Supreme Court comes back and guts the protection aspect of the bill. So where are we? can we really keep going like this? Or is it better, since we're going to die anyway, why not make a difference and pay the price to be free?
I saw you back in November. You said you gave a speech and you spoke on the riots in Ferguson, and you said you feel people will only listen to black concerns if it's violence against white people.
I didn't quite say it like that.
Well, I don't want to misquote you. You know, I'm here for you. I'm not that other kind of media.
But the only thing they want to know is when they kill us, are you all going to be peaceful? Well, should we be? That's a question we got to keep asking ourselves. Everybody that stands up for us, they say, is this going to be a peaceful demonstration? How can peace be there if there's no justice there and the government is weak to stand up for us and we pay the taxes of these people that shoot us down? We pay the taxes for an education that does not educate us properly, that we can come out of school and do something for ourselves. We got to go back and beg them for what we could unite and do for ourselves. We've got some serious decisions to make.
Now, when you say that, I understand and I feel you. But part of my problem is I feel like they don't look at us until the riots happen. But I see so many of us, young black individuals, getting arrested, getting those Fs on our records. And then later on in life, it's almost like because we stand up, they give us nothing after, and we can't have anything after because we have a felony on our record. We can't get a job. We can't help raise our children. We can't do a lot of those things. So what can we do?
We have to decide, do you still want to live under that?
No.
Or do we want to confront the government and say, like Moses said to Pharaoh, let my people go? Damn it, if we can't get justice, if we can't have peace, if our children are dying in the streets and there's no redress for our grievances, why the hell should we stay here and continue to live like this and then join an army and go somewhere and fight for the same damn enemy that's doing what he's doing to us? We got to make a decision, and there's not much time left to play with life and to play with the future of our children. And all these weak leaders that are apologists for tyranny, they have to get out of the way, because our children are angry. I would not mislead them in their anger to do something to get them killed or slaughtered. But there is a verse in the Quran that says persecution is worse than slaughter. Look at your brother, the Palestinians in Gaza. They have nothing. So no court of redress has addressed the grievances of the Palestinian people. So these are children with stones in their hands against tanks and against the armed might of the Israeli Defense Force. But they don't care because they're dead already. So now Israel is looking bad all over the world for what they're doing to the Palestinians. And now coming out of Crimea, coming out of Russia, coming out of China, there's anger over there for what America is allowing to have done to us. So America's looking bad because we want to go all over the world telling other people about their denial of human rights, and we're the biggest criminals of all to black and brown and poor people. So it's time now. Somebody got to make a decision.
When you did the Million Man March in 1995, did you think 20 years later in 2015 we'd still have to march for justice? Or did you think things would get better?
No, I never thought it would get better just by marching. But the enemy is so frightened We called for 1 million and nearly 2 million men showed up. That's an army. I didn't rile the army up and say, let's go fight. I said, look at this. This was the most peaceful demonstration in the largest gathering of black men anywhere in the world. They went back home to their families, to their wives, to their children. We took 25,000 orphans and gave them homes. Brothers and sisters registered to vote. What did we get out of it? We helped our brother get in office, and we were so excited and proud to have our first black president. And then when our brothers in Baltimore, I mean, that's a city where black folk have been catching hell for a long time. When they rise up, our president refers to them as thugs and criminals. I want to say to Brother Barack, you know, when the highest office in the land can look at our children and call them thugs and criminals, and unwittingly he's sentencing them to death by the forces that deal with thugs and criminals. They're not thugs. They're not criminals. They're angry young people and older people who have stores in the community. We should own the stores and serve our own needs, but you have Koreans there now. They serve us, well, we get hair, we get nails, we get our feet done. They don't respect us. We have Palestinians and Arabs there serving us. Regardless to their suffering back in their homeland, they don't handle us with the respect of somebody that's taken money out of our community, and they don't leave nothing in the black community. They take our money and they go build Koreatown, they go build other towns while we're sitting here with nothing. All of this gotta stop. And the only one that's gonna stop it is us. But the war that we gotta fight is on two fronts. We can't go to Washington and tell the government, step up, you stop killing us. And Mayor Giuliani comes up and says 75% of the people that die in the hood are black people killing black people. He's not lying. So we've got to go in our community and straighten that out. They are not guilty in our community. This is what you call social engineering. The enemy planned this and did it. And pardon me, you know, I'm very passionate.
Oh, talk, brother. Talk,
you
talk,
can see,
talk.
because I don't have no time to waste. I'm an old man, and I don't foot around with the truth because we don't have time for diplomatic language. We got to say it like it is and then back it up with our lives if necessary. I'm 82. I don't know how much time I got, but I want to leave this world with our people in a better state. But sometimes it's going to take the sacrifice of life to produce a better tomorrow. So the Tea Party, not the present political Tea Party, but the Tea Party that in Boston dumped all the tea that they used to make money in the harbor. That was a criminal act from the vantage point of King George. But on the side of those who were suffering under the tyranny of the Crown of England, it was an act of rebellion that led to a war that brought America into existence. So I'm saying this to our president and to others. These are not thugs and criminals. They have been put in a condition by thugs and by criminals. Now let me bring them to the witness stand and see who these criminals are. Just a minute, brother. By the way, I didn't know my spirit would be like this. I'm not lying. I'm speaking now, but there's another power driving me to say these things because it is time that they be said, and we can't back up. All these leaders that want to lead black people in this hour, speak truth to power and be willing to back truth up with your life. Then change will come. But listen to this, brother. I'm an old man now.
You keep saying that, but we can't tell.
Don't believe it. Look at this. Look at this, brother. When I was a young boy living in Boston, there were always factories in the inner city for the less educated worker that he could have a job, bring home some money, take care of his family. We had church, school, neighborhood. We had gangs then, but we never killed one another. But look at this. 40 years ago, I was overseas in Africa. I came back to America, and I read in the newspapers that they said we should not put money into the inner cities because the inner cities are ready to explode. All of a sudden, the factories in the inner cities began to close. Government reaches trade agreements, and money or factories leave America, go to third world countries where the labor market is cheap. So when the jobs close down in the inner cities, the black man who is unskilled labor is left in the lurch. Now, all of a sudden, drugs come in. We become involved in crime as the only way to make a living when you don't know how to make a job for yourself. Who steps into that picture? And I'll quote the Bible better because I want you to really see this. Paul said, "We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places." This social engineering didn't come from little white people. This social engineering came from the very top of the socioeconomic ladder. Reagan was a great anti-communist human being. And when the Sandinistas arose in Nicaragua, Reagan did not want that area to become socialist or communist. He went to Congress, asked Congress to back him to fight against the rise of the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. Congress turned him down. So Reagan went to King Fahd in Saudi Arabia and got $10 million, but that wasn't enough. So the CIA under Bush, George H.W. Bush, they brought drugs through Freeway Rick into America, and crack cocaine was developed. Anytime black people become conscious, drugs are entered into the equation because the church can't hold young people no more. Education can't hold them anymore. So let's make them drug addicts and then now biological and chemical weapons. AIDS. Where did that come from, that our women are the #1 purveyors of AIDS virus? That's not an accident. Excuse me for my passion, but I'm telling you, man, we are living in the very valley of the shadow of death. And if somebody doesn't rise up to tell the truth and marshal the forces for justice, then we're going to be like this when your young girls, yours, become women. And by the way, having a baby today is a disaster, because the minute the baby is born, now they want to take the child from you and give it an injection, some kind of vaccination or some kind of chemical. Robert Kennedy Jr. was at my home a week or so ago. And Bobby Kennedy Jr. was representing a man in the Center for Disease Control who blew the whistle that the CDC was responsible for developing a vaccine that is genetically prepared or concocted to affect black males. This is the Bible: kill the male, spare the female. And it's going on right now. They'll take your baby. They're sneaking in the ward where the baby is born if the parents are not looking to take the baby and inject them. With what? What are they injecting them with? According to Bobby Kennedy and the research and scientists, they're injecting them with vaccines that are high in mercury. And this mercury starts eating at the cells of the brain. They realize their world is finished. There's no more white supremacy ruling. That's over. We are awakening now. You're going to have to compete with awakened black men and women, awakened brown men and women, awakened red men and women, and awakened poor white people. You're not going to play the game over the masses of the people anymore. And that's why Zbigniew Brzezinski said, it is easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. They've lost control, but they're killing through food, vaccines. I'm not saying you shouldn't take a vaccine, but you shouldn't be stupid and think that the same man that gave the Indians smallpox through blankets, that same man has your interest at heart when he says we have a vaccine for you. You better wake up and look up. So I'm saying that because Bobby Kennedy can't get support because the pharmaceuticals have bought off Congress. Did you hear me? He can't get a congressman, a senator, to bring him before Congress and subpoena the whistleblower from CDC because the pharmaceuticals have bought off the Congress. I said, Mr. Kennedy, how formidable are your opposers? He had a chemist there. He had a billionaire there who's a philanthropist. And the billionaire looked at me and said, it's very difficult. I mean, well, CNN, he said, I could get on CNN tonight. He was on Bill Maher's show. But he said, they won't allow me to say this. Say you can say anything else because the pharmaceuticals have bought off the media.
Wow.
I said, well, what about black preachers? Since it's directed against black males, what are we doing? He said, I'm sorry, they're not responding either. Some of us have been paid off by the pharmaceutical companies. I said, well, what about the Congressional Black Caucus? He said, I'm sure they would like to help, but they're weak. So that's why he showed up at my door. Am I the only man that don't fear death to speak truth to power? Don't I have strong brothers and sisters out there that will stand with me? I'm prepared to go alone. Because if God is with me, I'm still the winner. It's just me and God. But it's a shame that we are so corrupt, so in love with money, that we will sell out the future of our people for a dollar bill. Well, what are you going to do when the dollar crashes? That's on the way. So all of you who betray each other for a dollar, who kill each other for a dollar, who are bought off by a dollar, well, you're going to have to find another medium of exchange, because the dollar in a little while won't be worth a dime. So I'm sorry, brothers. I didn't mean to talk all this long, but man, I'm so full. It's dangerous when you get me on your show.
Well, why do you think a lot of artists now aren't afraid to stand with you publicly? Because a lot of people used to like to talk to you in private because, like you said, they thought it would mess up their money.
Yeah, like he said before, we thought he was dead. We didn't see him anymore. We didn't
Ain't
hear from him
nobody thought he
anymore.
was dead now.
But now artists will stand by you.
Like you said, a lot of artists wouldn't stand by you because they would mess up their bottom line, which is the dollar.
There's a consciousness now. Mm-hmm. There's a consciousness, especially in our young rappers. Did you know that there was a conspiracy? Oh, brothers, I'm so full.
Let it out.
You know, there was a meeting in Los Angeles with some very powerful men, and they were meeting, according to what I heard, of record executives. These men that were meeting were now the owners of private prisons. It's like when you build a hotel, you're looking for occupancy. So you're not going to build a 1,000-bed hospital if you don't think you can attract 1,000 people every week or every day to stay in your hotel. So they're building private prisons now. And these men wanted the music executives to turn the rap of men like KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, those conscious lyrics, they wanted to change it to gangster rap. This didn't happen accidentally. They allowed that to develop, promoted beefs. So then we start shooting each other. We end up where? In prison, felony. When you're in prison, who do you work for? Because the 13th Amendment says that we are free if we don't get into trouble. Yeah. But if we are arrested and found guilty of a crime, our citizenship goes out the window. That's in the 13th Amendment. This man does not give you anything where you don't look in it and find a trick waiting for you. So now here we are in prison, working for IBM, working for Motorola, working for companies with skills now that they teach us in prison that we can make money for corporate interests that pay money to the prison man that owns the prison. And when we come out of prison, there's no work for us, even though we were working for these big corporations while we were in prison. Once we're out, we can't work no more. That's forcing us into behavior that they can say we're criminal. We're not the criminal. The criminals are the ones that create the conditions that turn us into less than what we could be. So I want to expose all of this. And I have been doing it. So the young rappers, they said, damn, excuse me. They say, Farrakhan, this is real. I say, yes, brother. I was with Brother Snoop, and I was telling my brother how you rappers are the new leaders. You're the real leaders of the people. The rapper doesn't think he's a leader, but he's got followers all over the world. The biggest preachers don't have as many followers as one rapper. So it's the question now, how can we get you to rap where intelligence is coming through the lyrics with a beat that begins to open the minds of people? Our people want better, and they'll do better if they're shown better. So my brothers that are rappers, I'm speaking now specifically of Snoop. I have an album coming out, by the way, and I just finished it.
What you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing a lot of stuff.
You
No,
you singing on it? You talking? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's the minister's life in music. Elijah Muhammad asked me to give it up, and I did. And I gave up what my talent was because the word that he taught meant more to me than my music, because the word would stimulate consciousness among our people that would allow us to be better by learning to love each other, learning to unite with each other, learning to pool our resources to do some constructive things for each other and for ourselves. So just before he left us in '72, I brought my violin out to Chicago and I played for him. And he said, boy, he said, you really can play that thing. So a week or so later, he called me back out to Chicago, and he told me, bring your violin. And when I went out, it was little Ishmael, who is now my assistant. He was a little boy then, and his brother Rasul and Ahmed. And they put on a skit. And then his wife, Mother Tanetta Muhammad, she played the piano. And then he says, well, why don't you play the violin? And I got up and played, and I noticed a frown on his face. He said, brother, isn't that the same song you played the last time you were here? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, don't you know anything new? So he was putting me back in my music. See, the violin is such a very difficult instrument to play, but you can't play classical music and not grow into a universal mind. And that's why music is loved all over the world, because it is a universal language. Well, why did Elijah Muhammad put me back on this music? Do you mind my going into
No,
that?
we love this.
Talk, my brother.
When he asked me to give up music, I made a song that was inspired by Brother Malcolm. He used to write for the Amsterdam News, and his column was The Angry Black Man. And this week he wrote a column, A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. So I took that title and made a song. And in the 60s, it was an underground hit. In fact, it's what converted Muhammad Ali. And when when Muhammad was, before he was Muhammad, he was Cassius Clay, but you meet him, he would start off, why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? That's the way the song starts. It was really rap in '56.
So you and Kanye gonna remix it? What's going on? That's the thing.
You got a surprise coming. So look, I come back to this. I was talking to Snoop. I said, Snoop, I would love to see you make a rap to take young people away from government leaders who are using their patriotism and their zeal for evil, making them think they're making the world safe for America. Anytime you got a president that's a liar, did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
That would lie to the American people that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And Colin Powell, our brother, was used because he had integrity. They put him before the UN, and he backed the lie that was concocted by the intelligence community. So all these young men and women went to war on the basis of a lie. A lie in Afghanistan, a lie in Iraq, and what's the result of that lie? Almost the whole treasury of America was destroyed, prosecuting a war that was not for democracy or patriotism or anything noble. It was for oil and the reserve oil that was in Iraq. America wanted control of it, and they wanted to plant bases there because they feared the rise of Iran. So you got soldiers that are being used all over the world that are young. We got 10-year-olds in Africa being used as soldiers, killing each other at 10 years old for no real, honorable, noble purpose. So I said, Snoop, you know, if we could make a rap that helps our young people to see the value of their lives, that they shouldn't allow their lives to be used by governments, and then when they come home from Iraq, they get no support. So my brother went away, and he came back with a song, Let's Change the World. And I loved the song so much that I made it the theme of the album, Let's Change the World. That's who you are, brother. That's who you are. That's who you are, sister. That's who our young people are. This world is finished, but we have been chosen by God to be the cornerstone of a brand new reality. And it's time now for us to come in and clean up. And let's go to work, man, to build a real government that's by the people, of the people, and for the people, because this one is not.
Just talked to farrakhan, that sensei, nigga. Told him I've been on tears since the 10th grade, nigga. Got a middle finger longer than the Kim, baby.
Real people, real celebrities, real talk.
Join the Breakfast Club.
Blast off in your
Weekday
ear.
morning, 6 to 10.
I'd love to get your take on something that we've been discussing at work a lot. When people get successful, some of our artists, they leave where they came from and they're like, don't go back, you know, to the hood because it's dangerous. You don't want to go there. Just stay away. No reason to be there. And I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, if that's the attitude, that's a bad attitude. What do you mean? I can't go back to where I came from, where I was nurtured, so I've got money and I want to live in a better a neighborhood, live in a bigger home. There's nothing wrong with that. But what happens when we are like that, we don't see our connection and go back and lift that community out of which we emerged. Elijah Muhammad said this, and I say this to our president, my dear brother, Elijah Muhammad said, no one man can rise above the condition of his people. You have become the president of the United States and went on television to start tweeting. And how did they treat you? They called you at every turn. They talked about you, talked about your wife, talked about your children. You cannot escape being who you are, no matter what kind of power you think you have. Soon you'll be coming back home. We'll make you a real president of a real nation that I think you can lead in a better direction. The black nation is coming up. We want a nation of our own, and we will have it by the grace of God.
Well,
Come on home.
What I like to say is, you got to get out, you got to give back, and you got to strive to make it better. Because I feel like, it is dangerous for young brothers like us when you do get to a certain level, because you do have certain people that we grew up with who do want to cause us harm. So we just can't be out there hanging on the corner, hanging in the hood like that.
Right. I mean, see, what has happened to us, brother? See, when you make it, the question is now, how are we making it? It's like 50 crabs in a barrel. One crab trying to get up, and another one pulls it down. But the barrel maker and the crab master, he go in the barrel and pull a crab up and put it on the top of the barrel and make the other crabs think you can get there too. And what they do, they use the successful ones to lead us to think that America is for us, that as I made it, you too can make it. Stop telling that lie. When you are a great basketball player, you're a great basketball player in a plantation owned by your enemy, and you're a rich slave. Did you see the brothers running up and down trying to make it into the NFL? Well, what was that? That's like your great-great-grandfather standing on an auction block. Show me your muscle. Oh, this is a strong. And you run around, squeeze his behind and look at his muscle. Oh, how much can I get for this one? That's what you are today. You're nothing but a show horse. I'm not putting you down. I love you. But don't you ever think that these people that make you millionaires love you. They give it to you, and 5 years after you are out of the league, you're broke, you're busted, you're sick. No, none of them will ever teach you how to marshal your money. They pool their resources and buy up things that make a difference, create jobs. You use your money to put something in the hood that is your giving back. A little basketball court or a little community center. We applaud you for that, but we would applaud you more if you say, brother, how many million you got? I got a few. You got a few. You got a few. Let's pool our money and buy up America, since America is for sale. How are you going to create jobs and all this land is out here ready to be bought, and we don't pool our money and buy real value, which is real estate, and the real estate is land. From the land comes everything. So yes, brother, they prey on you because when you come home, you got money. Mm-hmm. And so your homies, hey, Charlamagne, man, man, you're making it. I'm glad you're making it, brother. You know how we do. Yeah. I'm glad you're making it, brother, but I have a little problem. I need a little help.
Absolutely.
And everybody now that know you need the same kind of help.
And if you don't do it, you're not real. Oh, he ain't real no more.
Now you done grown up and walked away from us, and now you think you better than us?
He done changed on us.
See, and then they attack you. Mm-hmm. That's what they did with our brother from the Celtics.
Antoine Walker?
Yes. Mm-hmm. See, and they do it to rappers as well. But you know why they do that? because you have and they don't. And the enemy makes you the buffer between their wicked machinations, using our sports figures, our entertainers. They give you, what they call it, endorsements, right? All right, now, on my shoe, if it's a Nike, my brother Michael is on it. Where's it made? Made overseas. How much did it cost? So you got young brown people, yellow people, black people making Nike for $8 or $9, and it's coming back here, and you go in the shopping mall. What do you pay for your shoes?
$200.
See, so everybody's making a profit, and Nike think well, Michael, we gave him a big endorsement, but Nike ain't giving nothing to black people. That's why when I say or else, there got to be a way to make them responsible to the people who make them rich. If you go to church, they raven expect you. Yes, brother, come on, and tithing is 10% of what the Lord bless you with. Well, tithing should be 10% of what we, the Lords, bless these major companies with. But as long as a few individuals get fat, the masses still stay poor and skinny. We got to change that reality, and that's why we're going to Washington to say it's justice or else.
What can we do, like when we're in positions where we do work for these companies? What should we be doing with the resources we get from these companies? What the money from these companies, basically?
We should learn the value of pooling our resources. As an individual, we can't do much. Right now, Magic Johnson is a very rich brother. But Magic didn't put up all those Starbucks. Magic was called in to bring his money to join with others with money, and they put up Starbucks. He's a partner in that he gets something. I want to shout out to my brother, Mayweather. I really admire my brother. Now just think about this, Mayweather. Money, 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 Mayweather. Look here, Brother Money. As long as Bob Arum had you, he was making the money. Give you something, but look at what happened when you dumped him. You wanted to fight with De La Hoya, and you asked this man for $20 million. He said, no, that kind of money don't even exist. See, the white man will always tell you that crap to keep you satisfied with nothing while they take everything for themselves. That's why you don't hear them going broke. You don't hear them with their children not able to get a decent education. They suck the blood out of you, black people, to maintain a heavy, high lifestyle. And they don't buy Bugattis, or what do you call that car?
Bugatti, you right.
Yeah, Bugatti. But look, my dear brother, I noticed that Warren Buffett was coming around you. I know he's a very wise man in business. But I know these people are looking at you and the money that you have amassed. They don't love you. In fact, they really hate the fact that you could dump Bob Arum and now are running 500 million, 600 million, going toward $1 billion that you made on your own. They didn't give you no endorsements. They didn't give you nothing. So they can tell you that maybe you can't read or you can't write, but you can think. And you outthought them. Michael Jackson, your brother, he outthought them. He became dangerous because he owned the catalog of Elvis Presley and the Beatles. And all they were trying to do was take it from him. And they want to take your wealth. Please, brother, be careful. Because when they ask you to invest, and you invest in Burger King, don't do that, brother. They ain't not feeding your people well. You would die probably in 60 days if you just ate Burger King. So don't give your people what you can't use yourself. So, Mr. Buffett, I'm surprised at you guiding my brother like that. I think, brother, if they try to get you to invest in stocks and bonds, be careful, brother. Because if the stock market crash, all your money go down the tube. No, man, let's invest in land. Get as much as we can, because from the land comes food, clothing, shelter. Everything we need comes out of the earth like we do. So I just want to shout out to you, brother. Don't let the bloodsuckers come near you now, because you are a wise man who became rich without their assistance, but with the skillful use of your mind. Don't go to sleep because rich white people say they like you.
Well, you know, Minister, one of the reasons Mayweather don't get a lot of endorsements is because of his criminal history.
Oh, that's bull. Excuse me.
That's all right. It's all right.
Talk, brother.
It's all right. It's the Breakfast Club. Anything goes. It's all right. It's all right.
We're gonna earn our title. The title is the world's most dangerous morning show. We're gonna earn it this morning.
No, brother, that's BS. I have to say this, man. You know, Brother Kennedy, his father was in bootlegging. Joe Kennedy. Was that criminal behavior back in those days when it was prohibition? Yeah, that's right. So he made a lot of money. So did Dutch Schultz. He was a Jewish criminal. He died peacefully with all his money. Now, you mean to tell me if we get in a little trouble, you're not going to give me an endorsement with all the criminal behavior? See, but
Mayweather have 5 domestic violence charges now against women. That's
really?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Oh, that's too bad. Man, look, some of them that's charging you, I mean, look, man, you really need a lawyer. I ain't talking about a punk lawyer. You need a man like me to go to bat for you. Because look, what's the brother's name that they just let back in the league?
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson.
And he got to, I've learned, my lesson. Man, shut up. You beat that behind. My behind was beat many times.
Yeah.
And I'm not too bad. I ain't never been arrested, but that may change. But you want to arrest me for drugs or for criminal activity. You'll arrest me for speaking truth to power. You'll arrest me for uniting our people. And if necessary, we'll do what is necessary to be done in order to pass on to our next generation the freedom that we've never had and the justice that we've never had. Keep doing what you're doing. The army is rising. And by the way, the dry bones in the valley, when they finally heard the word of God, they stood up what? An exceedingly great army. So, this is madness. They want to make an example of you because you went to prison. I don't think no man should beat a woman. Not one of us. Now, I smacked my wife once. She smacked me back, and I ain't never hit that woman again. And we've been married 61 years. Sometimes a man can't handle a woman. most of them are smarter. They study us. And they can push a button with their tongue that will make you want to go to Nut City.
Absolutely.
But don't do it. Don't beat your woman. She is your second self. We got to honor and respect her and lift her. But look at this. My mother whipped me. And she would ask me, did I do A or B, and I would lie. So she would beat me for what I did.
And beat you for lying.
Then beat me for lying.
Yes,
And there was a little West Indian woman from Barbados who used to visit my mother. And when they thought I was asleep, of course, I was listening. So my little, I call her a mama from Barbados, she said to my mother, yeah, Maisie, you know, I was beaten Donnelly behind, and the boy crying out like I was killing him, and the neighbor called the police, and the police show up at my door, a big Irish cop. I said, come in. We heard that there was screaming here. She said, yes, I was disciplining my child. And she looked at the Irish cop. She said, did your mother beat you? He said, oh, yes, ma'am. He said, you see that stick upon your side and that gun upon your hip? I beat in mine today, so you won't have to beat him with that tomorrow. So I want you stand there while I beat him ras. And she got that boy out from under the bed and beat the hell out of him in the presence of the police. So how the hell you gonna tell me I can't beat my child, but if I do anything, and even before I do it, you pull that damn stick out and rub it all over my head and take this to the court and show them the back of black men and women beaten on the plantation. What the hell was that? Don't let these people tell you you can't do when that's all they do. But don't mistreat your children. Don't beat them out of anger and frustration. But sometimes a good spanking helps. So these white people, man, they tell you, you shouldn't hit, you shouldn't do this. That's why your children ain't worth a damn.
What about teachers beating kids in school?
Now they beat me. When I was coming up, there was corporal punishment. They had what they call a rattan. It was like a small piece that looked like bamboo, and they soaked it in water. And if I did something wrong, they'd take me in the dressing room, and I had to put my hands out, and they would beat my hands with that rattan. Yeah, so look, man, the Bible ain't wrong. Don't spare the rod and spoil the child. If you have to touch them up, go ahead. I've been touched up, and I'm not a bad man. And I touched mine up, and they doing all right. I wouldn't let this man tell me a damn thing about how to raise children. You know how to make a slave. And you made sure you made us afraid of you with what you would do to us violently. So don't you ever talk to us about not spanking our children and then want to bring us into court and shame us for using a switch. What did Grandma say? Boy, go over there and get that switch off the chair, off the tree.
You sound like you from Charleston, South Carolina just now, man.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, one of the biggest misconceptions about you, Minister, is, people like to say he hates white people. He hates Jewish people.
Thank you. No, I'm not a hater. I'm not in trouble because I hate. If I was a hater of you, I would have killed a lot of you. Did you hear me? Yes, sir. Go find me anyone that follows me that have killed a white person or a Jew. What's killing you is the truth that's coming out of my mouth. And you would like to pay somebody or get some fool to try and kill me to satisfy you. That's how you do black men that you can't buy and you can't bend. But don't come this way with that thought about killing. So you better think real good about that one. And I'm taking it all the way up to the President of the United States. Think well. Because I'm not here by myself, of myself. There's a God backing me. That's why I can talk like I talk without fear. Then try me and see if there's a real God behind me.
Now, what do you think about the president? Because we all came together.
I was in love with my brother, and I still love him.
Even when he denounced you?
Oh, man, if I hated everybody that denounced me, I would be in bad shape. People denounce me because it makes them available to white people. I want a job, man. If I denounce Farrakhan, they may let me in. It was Hillary that pressed Barack to denounce me. He didn't want to denounce me. So remember now, your time is coming, Miss Clinton. See how you take it. We are not voting for white people just to vote. You better put your vote in your pocket unless they can show you that they're worthy of it, not by playing some saxophone. If you can't get justice, you can't get my vote. If you can't help me to be better than what I am, you can't get my vote. And that's the way we're going to teach black people all over America. This election season, you're not going to use us like that.
But how do we trust them, though? Because you know they're going to come.
You can't trust them.
You know they're going to come out and talk about police reform and tell us everything we want to hear.
What police reform?
Exactly.
do body cameras.
Oh, good.
That's what they say.
Oh, yeah. And then, hold up just a minute. I know you. Yeah, but it looks that way that we shot the man all these times in the back. It just looks that way. But you got to be patient till all the facts are in. But you looking at murder.
We watching the video, yeah.
Understand? No, brother. Ain't no such thing as training a racist mind to love you better. Don't let them sell you that mess. Do you know what's really going on? In 1956, Elijah Muhammad was in a debate with Mr. J.B. Stoner, the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. And Mr. Muhammad was tearing him up, you know. And then in the next round, Mr. Stoner said, one day soon, we won't be wearing this robe and this little dunce hat. He said, we'll be in the police department. We'll be judges. We'll be prosecutors. We'll be bankers. But we'll all have the same mind that we have with these uniforms on. Thurgood Marshall, was he not our first black member of the Supreme Court? Before he left, before he died, he said, the Klan used to wear white. Today, they're wearing black. What did he mean? That the same racist mind that was in that little silly man down in Georgia and Alabama and Indiana, Tennessee, now they're in the police department. They're in the judge's seat. So now a man, what the heck? You got a gun in your hand. A man, you say You didn't know what he had in his hand, so you shot him. Do you know what would happen if black people started acting like white police?
World War III.
Look at this. Just try this picture on. I'm a black man, but I own a pistol. I see a white man coming toward me in blue. I say, oh my God. I'm terrified. What's that he has in his hand? I can't. I go to court. Well, look, I'm afraid. These white people have been killing us ever since we've been in America. So I had my pistol and I was just afraid for my life. Try it on. I bet you wouldn't get to first base saying that. Well, why would we let them get home with that? Man, we got to wake up as a people. Thank you for allowing me on your show, brother.
No, we appreciate it.
Wow, man.
I do got one more. I got like 2 more questions. That's
Okay, but I mean, I've never spoken like that.
No.
No, serious. No.
This is good.
Yeah, when Kanye was on the Breakfast Club, he said he's doing a documentary about you because he wants to help change some of the misconceptions about you.
Oh, but tonight may have really put those misconceptions back. But I'm just telling you, I don't hate Jews, nor do I hate white people. I hate what they do when they don't treat us right. And that person is the person we deal with. That's not bad. All white people haven't done that. But I say to white people, look, you didn't do it. They say, yeah, that's right. We didn't have nothing to do with slavery. Yeah. But because of slavery, when you immigrants came here, America was already built with the blood, the sweat of my ancestors. So you got what you got because your fathers gave us what they gave us. And since you got here, America has been the American dream for you, coming out of Europe, coming out of Italy, Germany, Russia, wherever you came from. This is your heaven, but it has been our hell. So when Harry Belafonte was with Dr. King, and Dr. King looked very melancholy and sad, Harry Belafonte went to him and said, Martin, why are you so melancholy? Everybody else seems to be in such good spirit, you know. And Mr. Belafonte said that Dr. King said, I fear that I am integrating my people into a burning house. So all those of you who are thinking about 10-10-15, the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, and you would like to come and join us. It's not Farrakhan alone, it's black pastors. I may lose them, I don't know, with this broadcast. But if I lost you, I never had you. If I gained the youth, I got it all. And that's what God said, if you remember, with those old people who loved Egypt. And when Joshua spied out the new land, the old ones said, we're not going in as long as them giants are in there. So you go and get them giants out of that land and we'll go in. God didn't like that. So he allowed them to wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the elders died out. And he said, I'll take your children and they will inhabit the promised land. In the last day of Dr. King's life, I want you to remember, brothers and sisters, they didn't kill Dr. King because he had a dream. Excuse me. Somebody sending me a note. Didn't I say he died peacefully? Maya?
Dutch Schultz.
Oh, Dutch Schultz. It was Maya Lansky. Oh, they was cousins. Thank you for correcting me, brother. No, Dutch Schultz was killed.
Yes, sir. Maya Lansky was the book.
But Maya Lansky was a heck of a criminal, and he died peacefully. But let me get to my point now. The night that my brother gave his last speech, this is what they quote. Tonight, I'm not fearing any man because I've been to the mountaintop and I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. In that year of his life, he talked against the war in Vietnam. The government was angry with him. But let's back up on that same night. This is what he said to his audience. He said, we don't need to talk bad. We don't need to shoot guns or throw Molotov cocktails. Elijah Muhammad said the same thing. All we need to do is come into unity and fire the cannon of our unity. Dr. King said, when we are in pain, we have to redistribute the pain. What do you mean, Dr. King? He said, tonight in Memphis, he said, don't buy Coca-Cola in Memphis. Don't buy Seal Test ice cream in Memphis. He said, what's the name of that bread, Jesse? Then he said, Wonder Bread. And the other bread, Heart's Bread. He said, don't buy it. Once we are in pain, let's redistribute the pain. Not with Molotov cocktails. But we have $1.3 trillion coming into our hands that they want in their pockets. If we deny it to them, we will give them pain. Dr. King was telling us, take your money out of the white man's bank and put it in your own bank. We have insurance companies here in Memphis. They go and take out insurance with your own. Then he was killed. That same night, they were plotting on his life. And they killed him. And after they assassinated him, they started doctoring his image because they wanted to leave us with Martin Luther King as a dreamer. So everything they said about him was his speech in '63, but not his speech in '67 and '68. Can I read you what he said to SCLC in 1967, 5 months before he was assassinated, maybe 6 or 7 months. Hurry and bring it to me, brother.
Got you, man.
I want to quote something from our brother. And I would hope that you young brothers who only know Dr. King as a dreamer, I have a dream, but he woke up. His dream was a nightmare. Listen to what he said. And I'd like to give you young people an assignment. If you're coming to the 20th anniversary, I want you to take some time and read the speeches of Martin Luther King in the last year of his life. And Martin Luther King will grow you up into a reality. And then we who are alive today will take you where we believe Dr. King would have taken you. Remember, I spy the promise, not sky, land. Listen to this. Dr. King was quoting Victor Hugo. And Victor Hugo said, if the soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed. The guilty one is not he who commits the sin, but he who causes the darkness. The policymakers of the white society have caused the darkness. This is Dr. King. They created discrimination. They created slums. They perpetuate unemployment, ignorance, and poverty. It is incontestable and deplorable that Negroes have committed crimes, but they are derivative crimes. They are born of the greater crimes of the white society. But there's another sentence here that should be with this. When he said that the crimes that black people commit in a few days of rioting sinks into nothingness when you consider the hardened criminal activity that is used against our people. So I want to thank you, brother, and thank you, the Charlemagne, and my sister. What is your name?
Angela.
Angela. I hope that I didn't, disturb the peace of this beautiful breakfast club. I can't apologize for telling the truth, but I'm filled with passion and hurt because I don't want us to pass on this condition to another generation that have to argue and fight with white people for nothing. If we're going to fight for something, let's get some of this earth that we can call our own. And remember, they promised us 40 acres and a mule. And there was only 4 to 5 million of us then. Mm-hmm. Now think over 40 acres with 5 million people. Mm-hmm. That's 200 million acres of land. Not with a mule today, but with
I'll take the land. They can keep the mule.
Yeah, we'll take the tractors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, every promise they made to us, they reneged on it. So can we listen to their words and believe? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Whatever we can get through the power of our unity, that you can believe in, because with our unity, we'll never have to fire a shot. Our unity will be able to give us the power to exercise that will get us the justice that we seek.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
May Allah
There
bless
you have it. The
Absolutely.
Breakfast Club, the Honorable
Minister Louis
Minister
Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan.
10-10-15.
That's right.
Just taught the FedCon that sensei, nigga. Told him I've been on 10 since the 10th grade, nigga. Got a middle finger longer than the Kim, baby.